what you call the geographical cure. Because every city I went to, everybody was an asshole. But you know what? Every city I went to, there was only one asshole. It was the one I saw in the mirror. And I ran away from that person. So when we ask the question, who am I? Who are you? Here's what we have a tendency of doing. We answer this as a resume. We provide you facts. We provide you information. Well, there you go. This is key on a piece of paper. Literally, it means nothing. Because I will send this resume to people around the world and say, that's nice. Oh, look at all the letters he has behind his name. Sussy boo. But it means what? It means what? When you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, I have a PhD, I have a CHRP, CSO, c'est beau. But when your heart's about big like this and it wants to explode because you don't know why or you don't know who you are, you're living a lie. What happens? Then you live life, or do you just exist? I existed. I spent majority of my life going, who am I? Everybody said, God, Keith, you were so happy. We know you, and I have friends here from when I grew up. I grew up here in Timmins. People that I worked with years ago as a hairstylist. And they said, God, you were always smiling. You were always happy. Boy, could I put on a facade. Fooled you all. Made you all think that I was a happy-go-lucky God. I was dying inside. I didn't know who I was. And this is where it begins. Because I grew up in a family of 5 children. And then this started to happen. Little letter in the body that says, when does the self-talk start? When did it start? Well, to me, I grew up being told that, well, you should be more like your brother. You're not as good as your brother. Why can't you be more like this? You're going to end up in trouble. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And guess what? I did it all. I was bad. That's really, really bad.
Yep.
And after that I was bad, I was worse. Because you plateau, right? You kind of go, okay, I'm here. Okay, now this is boring. Well, I'm going to try. But the one thing is, I loved people. I always loved people. And whenever I said, you know what, I should get into the people business, you know what the answer was? No! Get a job like everybody else. Do this, do that. Okay. Not if I'm a job. And I would get up, do the job. But I was tired. I was done. This is where it ended up as a teenager. I suck at everything that I do. Because I couldn't be good enough. I could never live up to the expectations that were put in front of me. I would go to sleep at night, whenever I could, thinking that, oh, gosh, I wish I wouldn't get up. I want to go to sleep and not wake up. Guess what? I woke up. Another damn day. Anybody feel like this? Right? You're trying to talk to somebody. C'est ça. No, c'est ça. This is that. That's this. And you're going, okay, I'm speaking English. What language are you speaking? Anybody feel that way? I think we all went through life sometimes meeting someone and then went, oh, you don't listen to me. Right? Are you going to take 2 minutes and listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth? And person goes, yeah. No. We're going to go through this process. I'm going to show you today a little tool. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because that's a whole workshop on its own, but I'm going to show you how a simple tool called the color methodology put a whole new light in my life. Because I was able to look in a mirror and say, you know what? I am not crazy. And I am good enough. I used to be here. This was my high school. And you know what? There's a walkway up there. That was one of the places I'd go hide. See where all the lights are up there? There's a little catwalk, they call it. Cool. That was the place I'd go hide. After I failed the test. I'd go hide and shake. I know this school very, very well. And I can tell you other little hiding places and stuff, but, you know, we're not here for that. So, I did what everybody else wanted me to do. That's me where the little arrows are, with the beard, second last. That's my father and my 4 brothers. I have to say it was one of the proudest moments of my father's life because he was one of the only men at Kid Creek who had all his 4 boys work at the mine at the same time. I was happy for him. Because he was happy, and he stood there, and when they were writing the article, he was, these are my boys, look at all my boys, and didn't make a soul, and look at that, look, they're all here, and yeah, look at how happy Dad is. And it wasn't working. It wasn't working in here, where it mattered the most. Because what happened is I got involved in the world of alcohol where it begins. Because as soon as I would, if somebody here would say, Guy, have you ever had a drink? My answer to that will be no. I never had a drink. I remember my first drink, get drunk. I drink, get drunk. Drink, get drunk, drink, get drunk, drink, get drunk. Because I loved the feeling that it gave me. I became 6 feet tall, 300 pounds, and I could take on the world. Because the rest of the world did not. I felt invincible. But guess what happened the next morning? Reality. Not only do I feel like crap, but I feel embarrassed for what I've done the day before. And that's, for those who you know, who ever gone through the world of addiction, that don't have a problem, it only progressively gets worse. You watch the person next to you that you love and you care just progressively gets worse and worse, and they fool themselves, and they try and fool you. Well, I was fooling myself all the time. I don't have a problem. I didn't have a problem. Look, I get up, I go to work. I wasn't the prettiest person when you show up at work. Then start it all over the night again. And when I say it gets progressively worse, you hit a plateau, hit another plateau, and then, of course, Here I am, 3 o'clock in the morning, drunk as a skunk. And then somebody brought cocaine on the table. My friends. I said, what's that? They said, cocaine. Really? What does it do? Well, we can't explain it. Why don't you try it? Here, try it for free. So I did my first line. Whoa! Hold on, everybody. I was gone to the races. I stayed up for 48 hours. No sleep. Didn't need sleep. Because it was like, go, 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 pisare, puppy, boo. Oh, I was the road runner. Hold on to your shorts. Nothing could stop me. But guess what happens? It gets higher and higher and higher and higher. So what do you think? As you go through that, the addiction just keeps eating and eating. Because the addiction is alive inside of you. It's alive and well. And do you think it cares whether you live or die? Somebody once told me there was only three permanent solutions for the world of addiction. Hospital, jail, or the morgue. End of story. On March the 8th, 1994, I wanted to call it quits. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Who here believes in miracles? I was on the Matagami Bridge. The ice had just broken on the river. And you know the sidewalk on the bridge? Well, I was on the other side, like this, at 3:30 in the morning, and about to jump, when a car stopped. And all you heard was, "Hey, Guy, you want to go to a party?" Stop. How do you stop an addict from killing himself? I don't feel well. I'll kill myself tomorrow. I don't recall. I do not recall the face, but I recall the voice. It was the voice of my grandfather, who had died 10 years before. He goes, "I'm taking you to a party, but I got to put you on a bus." Well, it must be a heck of a party. Brought me to the bus station. Went from the bridge to the bus station. Said, "The bus is there waiting for you." I got out of the car, went to the bus. Bus driver says, "You must be Guy." "Yeah." Got on the bus, drove for who knows how long. Bus driver says, "Guy, cab's there waiting for you." "What? This must be a heck of a party. Now I'm going in a cab." Got on the cab drove for about 15, 20 minutes, ended up this big white building. 2 people standing outside. I go outside and I said, "Hi, I'm Guy." "Yeah," they said, "We've been waiting for you." "Wow! Awesome! They're waiting for me." I said, "What kind of party is this?" And they're going, "Party?" Meanwhile, the cab drives away. They said, "This is a detox center." "What's a detox?" "Well, this is where people come in. We help them sober up." Dude, which party did I stayed there for 16 days. I had seizures. I went through hell. Here's where the miracle starts to happen. Like, all this happened, and I didn't pay for a taxi, bus, I didn't pay for anything. This was all done. Nobody knew I was going to kill myself at 3 o'clock. Nobody. So tell me how that vehicle showed up, brought me there, and all this happened? Don't have a clue. I did my research, and everything had been paid in cash. With nobody knowing, well, we don't know. One point, you just leave it and say, "You know what? I was meant to be here." these centers, the people that work at these centers, I am so grateful for because they saved my life. I went from the detox to a treatment center. 28 days. After the 28 days, I had a choice. Come back to Timmins or go to a long-term. Well, my family didn't know what choice I was going to take because I was tossed. Do I go back to Timmins? My brother was at the bus station because I was supposed to show up that night on the bus. So he told me after, he said, Guy, I was sitting in my vehicle when there was a van with all the people you used to hang out with. They were waiting for you. And they were partying. The party was going to start over. And he goes, I was praying not to see you. The bus showed up, and I never got off. I got on the bus to go to North Bay. I did 3 months. Thank you. I did 3 months, then another 3 months, because the question was, Guy, what do you like to do? And you have to understand, I tell everybody I was just drunk once in my life. But for 10 years. Hell of a hangover. But everything I did in my life revolved around consumption. There was nothing I was doing in my life that didn't involve alcohol or drugs. So when they say, what do you like doing? I don't know. So I really had to relearn how to live. I had to learn who's this guy. But what they do in the treatment center is they help you find out not to live without addiction. Guess what was still alive and well inside of me? My self-esteem was still there. But now I wasn't drinking to kill the pain. That was still there. What happened is I got involved in what is called color methodology. I had gone back to school. I got into human resources because I love dealing with people. I love helping people. It was fun for me because I could make the connection. I was able to relate to people and how they felt and how they were. But when I got into this, again, purely by accident, for the first time in my life, I went, you know what, I'm not crazy. I'm not insane. I'm okay. Because the color methodology was simple. I am a very visual person. When I could see it, it makes sense to me. Here's the example. How did I, for the grace of God, never had a relapse? Is because I made what you call a mathematical decision. Is I put Guy plus a bottle of beer equals death. Because what happens is when you stop consuming, it's like driving a car and your car stalls. Your car stalls here, okay? You think if I would start drinking again, where do you think I start from? I start from zero? A few people have told me, Guy, you're fine now after so many years. You could take another drink. No, because I would start back where I stalled my vehicle. And guess what? I was at the point standing in the bridge wanting to end it all. Where do you think? How long do you think I'm going to last? Not very long. So what happens is when I found out about the color methodology, it kind of went, you know what, I'm not the retard that people said I was. I'm not the goofball. I'm not the annoying pain in the butt. I've got pretty good talents. I've got something that a lot of people want to bury because society doesn't appreciate it. But what it is once I found out, Oh, hold on to your underwear, because I tell you, before when I needed energy to go, this basically fueled everything about who I was. Now what happens with the color methodology, it talks about 4 colors, and we all have them. So if you hear somebody say, well, I'm an orange, or I'm a gold, I'm a blue, well, we have all 4 colors. So there's no such thing saying, well, you know, I don't have any blue. Yes, you do, and maybe one of your palest colors. But what happens is, when you get into the color methodology, you understand why, you know, you walk into a room, and you know, there's that person or persons that you just go, this is not going to be good, and I don't know why, right? You just meet, you meet them, and you go, okay, this is not going to work, but I can't explain it. Well, what happens is, they may be your palest color. You may be speaking the same language, but you're not saying the same thing. You feel like you're in part of 2 different worlds. But what this did, it helped me understand and get into the world of others so I can relate. You'll see, and I'll explain this, that my palest color is green. There's only 4 colors. Green is the logical, the analytical, the detail. When it comes to that, no. I like the big picture. I like to make things happen. I like, you know, just do it. You know, like the speed signs where it says, we recommend you go 100 kilometers an hour. Right? You guys didn't see that fine print? It says recommend. No? Okay. Let's go into what is the color methodology. Well, it's a simple way of understanding people. And one of the colors, orange, what is the orange individual? Well, he's flexible, he's decisive, he's practical, he's adventurous, he's conceptual, spontaneous. You ever meet somebody like that? You know, you give them something and all of a sudden, poof, they have the answer, they're witty, they like to have fun. What do you want to do tonight? I don't know, but let's do something, right? No, I want to sit down and watch TV. Really? No, come on, let's move. You know, let's do something. Débarque de ton cul. You know, get up. Right? Next color, greens. The abstract. Very philosophical, private, systematic, analytical, detailed. They live in their head. Who here loves to live in their head? Questions everything. Why? Why? Anybody knows kids? Why? Why? Maman, pourquoi? Maman, pourquoi? Right? I give you a big percentage that you'd see that. They live and breathe inside their head. Because everything, there has to be more. There's so much more. And when you give them a solution to something, well, I can make it better. Because they're smart, but they also want you to know that they're smart. And what happens is a lot of people get confused because they say, oh, well, they you know, somebody who has a lot of green, we don't see their emotions. Well, is emotion logical? Who here has watched Star Trek years ago? Right? Spock! What a hero he was. What kind of emotions did he have? Right? None. But when they came out in a fury. Right? So what happens is somebody with a lot of green, their emotion needs to be logical. So when it comes to make surface, it comes out. Let's take a look at another color. Goals. Structure. Organized. Loyal. anybody like that? I'm going to keep a job right till I retire. Right? I'm going to stay there. The ship is sinking. Yeah, but there's hope. They're the type of people that if they say they're going to be there at 12 o'clock, they're going to be there at 11:55. Right? 5 minutes before is on time. On time, you're late. But they're structured. They keep us together. They're policy writers. They're rule writers. They're the ones that keep this world together. Imagine if the world was full of people that did not, just took everything as a recommendation. What do you think would happen? You'd end up going on a trip like I took my daughter once, and I said, we're going on a trip. She was 13. She goes, really? Where are we going? I said, we're going left. She goes, what? I said, we're going left. I rented a convertible Mustang and we're going left. Left? Just get in the damn car. We got in the car and we went left. We were gone for over 7 days and somewhere out west. And whenever she says, okay, we're turning, we turn left. And she just had the time of her life. And of course, choice words like I was a little crazy, but at that point, I'm okay. So the goal person, would the person who's a high goal do that? No, because if they're going to go on a trip, they're going to organize, they're going to pack, they're going to make sure everything's done, everything has give me a list. And they're comfortable with that, which is great. And finally, we have the blues, the high blues. Perceptive, harmonious, nurturing, optimistic, social. Madame said it so well early on that people don't listen to their intuition. People that have a lot of blue, high sense of intuition, their gut tells them. Their gut tells them whether they're right, this is the right thing to do. Those who have a lot of blue, you meet people and you go, hi, nice to know ya. Meanwhile, inside of them going, let my hand go. I don't want to be close to you because of the energy you're giving me. I don't feel good in here. The high blues have that. What a gift. I know my significant other, she is gifted with that. And she'll go, how did you feel about that? I said, I don't care. How did you feel? Because I'm a high orange, I couldn't care less. It's like, ooh, fun. But they feel it, they have a high sense of intuition. And I listen to that today. I listen to somebody else's language. Those of you who, it is so easy that within minutes, you will identify somebody's primary colors. And then you can get into their world, because it's not their place to change, it's your place to change. I will adjust myself to communicate properly with the person that I'm addressing. If the person's high green and my palest color is green, I will adjust myself to their communication so they can understand it and they can relate to what I'm saying. If I have a message, if they're speaking to me, I will interpret it in the way that they think. If they're blue, guess where they're talking from? They're talking from here because it's emotion. If they're green, they're talking from here. If they're gold, they're talking into a process. But again, remember we have all four colors. And I'm going to use a great example. We had wonderful speeches today, right? Mm-hmm. One person, Nadia, I'm going to pick on you. It started very emotional, didn't it? I think there was a set of eyes here that weren't, you know, I know I was. Because I went into her world. She brought us into her world. And we felt it. We felt it at an emotional level. And she didn't ask us to go there. But she brought us on on a journey. There's the blue. Do you see how the blue really, it got us, even though blue is maybe one of your palest colors, you still felt it. Because the person who's blue, there's no BS in their language. I always say the person that has a lot of blue, they will cut through bullshit. Come on. They will know somebody who's authentic or not. They will know whether the person is real. They could feel it. And then, did you not see when my friend Nadia turned her presentation into facts? Right? Where was her passion? You see how we have more than one color about who we are? And it's like a light switch. But when you understand and you can let these colors start to shine, was it a great presentation? It was an epic presentation. It was awesome because her emotions, her colors were shining. Everybody here was just like, Nadia, dump some more. Come on. I know I was. The bridge to self-understanding and living a fulfilling life is looking at your past through patterns and answering the question, was I authentic to who I am? I know I wasn't. I wasn't authentic to who I was. And I lived a lie for many, many years. But you know what? See this man? That's my hero. That's my dad. He died in my arms. Out of 5 children, I was the only one that he was there at the birth. I was the only one that he held when his child came into this world. And he was in my arms when he left this world. But he lived a lie. Because he was, you know, you look at him, this is just a week before his retirement. He was 62. He died a month before he was 65. He was, you ever meet these people that are excessively strong? Like he had sausages for fingers, coconuts for shoulders. He was he was strong. And he was told that he had to be the disciplinary person in the house. You're the man of the house. You have to discipline those kids. Well, it's funny because 3 months he was never sick. I'd never seen him sick. I seen him get hurt. He actually took one time a chainsaw to his leg. And we were in the bush cutting trees. And he took his first aid kit out. And he says, okay, Guy, you're going to come and stitch it up because we have to finish loading the truck. He took out the fishing line and a needle and thread. And it was awesome. And he was looking at it going, you're loving this. I said, oh yeah. That was the kind of man he was. Right? He was strong. He was like fabulous. But then 3 months before he passed away, he got ill. And I saw him cry for 3 months. I put my life aside. You got to understand that I was afraid of him. I feared him because he was a disciplinary. He was the one that smucked me around. But what I found out is that he didn't want to smuck me around. In the matter of, I lived an entire life in 3 months. I met my dad. I met the real man. And guess what his primary color was? Blue. He was told all his life he could not be the man he was supposed to be. He couldn't be tender. He couldn't be loving. I was going to say, little girl over there. My mother told us that your father is so slow when it comes in the private sector. I go, What? I don't get that. She goes, like he's having fun. Yeah. Yeah. No. It's just to make kids and da-da. Whoa. He wasn't able to be himself. The last time he gave me a licking, and you gotta remember, 8 fingers like this, and they were about the same size as that. Never made sense to us, because he would say, stop crying. Well, I was 11 years old, so he's smacking, he says, stop crying. And I turned around and I said, well, stop hitting me. He just took me off and just went, I'm done. And that was it. He never ever hit another one of his children after that. But when he was ill in the hospital, of course, you got to remember that I'm now clean and sober, thank goodness, when he's ill. And I still live with a lot of regret because I put my family through hell through those times. And I asked him, I said, can you forgive me for everything that I have done? I said, I put you through hell. Can you forgive me for that? And he looked and he said, it's not your place to ask me for forgiveness, but me to ask forgiveness from you. Well, okay, I'm lost. And he says, you were my son that needed to hear the words, I love you. And he goes, can you forgive me for not saying that? Because he goes, I wanted to tell you, and I couldn't. He lived a bigger lie than I did. He lived in a place where he was miserable. And he died lonely. He died with an empty heart. But he was able to show me who he was. My Father. And when he passed, he said only one thing. Ye don't ever stop doing the great things you are doing today. That was a promise. And I'm telling you, I'm going to live up to that promise to the day I die. Because when you see someone, and we all know that, when you see someone living their non-authentic life, you see it, don't you? You feel it, don't you? This was my hero. The future is in our hands. And until you realize that, and Katrina said it so well, the power of change, Lynn said it so well, Nadia said it so well. We have an ability of choice. The angels that work for our gods do not have that ability. But when we were